I thought I was teaching him a lesson, a small punishment, a few days of silence so he would finally understand how much he had been hurting me. I never imagined he would disappear forever. My name is Claire, and this is the story of how one single decision, pressing block on my husband's phone, unraveled my entire life in ways I still can't fully explain. Let me start from the beginning. Andrew and I had been married for 6 years. 6 years of ups and downs, but mostly quiet loneliness. He wasn't a bad man. He didn't hit me. He didn't yell at me. He just faded. Day by day, year by year, he became a stranger sleeping next to me. He worked late. He traveled for business. When he was home, his eyes were glued to his phone. He stopped asking about my day. He stopped noticing when I changed my hair. He stopped holding my hand in public. I tried everything. Date nights, couples counseling, long talks over dinner where I cried and he nodded. He always said he would try harder. And for a week or two, he would. Then, slowly, silently, he would drift away again. By year 5, I was exhausted, not angry, just empty. Then came the solo vacation idea. I had never traveled alone before. But my best friend Jenna kept telling me, Claire, you need to breathe. You need to remember who you are without him. So I booked a tiny cabin by a lake. 4 days. Just me, a stack of books, and complete silence. No work, no stress, and for the first time, no Andrew. When I told him, he barely looked up from his phone. Okay, he said. Have fun, that was it. No, I'll miss you. No, are you sure it's safe? Just okay. Something inside me snapped that night. Not loudly, not dramatically, just a small, cold crack in my heart. I decided I wasn't going to text him during the trip. Not once. I wanted to see if he would even notice. I wanted to feel what it was like to be completely untethered from a man who had stopped caring. But the night before I left, he did something strange. He came to bed early. He wrapped his arm around me and whispered, I love you, Claire. It felt off. Like a line he had rehearsed, like he was saying goodbye. I didn't think much of it then. I just lay there, staring at the ceiling, wondering why his words felt hollow. The next morning, I packed my bags. Andrew was already dressed. He made me coffee, something he hadn't done in months. He kissed my forehead. Drive safe, he said. I walked out the door. And as I got into my car, I pulled out my phone. I opened his contact. And I pressed block. Not forever, just for 4 days. I told myself it was an experiment. I told myself he deserved a taste of his own medicine. But deep down, I think I already knew something was wrong. I think I was protecting myself from whatever was coming. The drive to the cabin was beautiful. Autumn leaves, open roads, music I hadn't listened to in years. For the first few hours, I felt free. The cabin was even better. Small, rustic, overlooking a gray-blue lake, no cell service anyway, so blocking him didn't even matter. I unpacked, made tea, and watched the sunset. That night, I slept better than I had in years. The next day, I read an entire novel. I went for a long walk. I cooked myself dinner and ate it on the porch. I didn't think about Andrew once. Day 2 was the same. Peaceful, quiet. I started remembering the woman I used to be, before marriage, before disappointment, before I became someone's afterthought. By day 3, I felt something I hadn't felt in a long time. Hope. I decided that when I got home, I would have a real conversation with Andrew. Not a crying, begging conversation, a calm, honest one. I would tell him I deserved better. And if he couldn't give me that, I would leave. I felt strong, ready. Then I drove home. And everything fell apart. The drive back felt different. Heavier. I kept checking my phone, still blocked, and wondered if Andrew had tried to reach me. I told myself I would unblock him when I pulled into the driveway. I would say I lost service. A small lie to cover my small revenge. But when I turned onto our street, something felt wrong. The house looked empty. No lights, no car in the driveway. Andrew's SUV was gone. I parked. Walked to the front door. My key turned easily, too easily. The door was unlocked. I stepped inside. Silence. Not the normal silence of an empty house. A different silence. A cold, final silence. Like the house itself knew something I didn't. Andrew? I called out. No answer. I walked through the living room. The TV was gone. The framed photos of us, gone. His books, his laptop, his favorite jacket that always hung by the door, all gone. My heart started racing. I ran to the bedroom, closet empty, drawers empty, his side of the bed stripped bare. I called his phone. It went straight to voicemail. I called again, voicemail. Again, voicemail. Then I found the letter. It was sitting on the kitchen counter, tucked under a coffee mug, the same mug he had given me for our 3rd anniversary. The envelope said my name, Claire. My hands were shaking so badly I could barely open it. The letter was short. I'll never forget every word. Claire, I'm sorry. I've been unhappy for years. I tried to stay because I didn't want to hurt you. But when you blocked me before your trip, something clicked. You didn't want me in your life. So I'm leaving. I've moved out. Don't try to find me. I've already filed for divorce. My lawyer will contact yours. I hope you find happiness. Goodbye. I read it 3 times, 4 times, and then I fell to the floor and sobbed. Not because I missed him, but because of how easily he had erased us. 6 years. 6 years of my life. And he left a 150-word letter on a kitchen counter like I was a roommate he didn't owe an explanation. I called Jenna. She came over within an hour. She held me while I cried and screamed and asked the same question over and over. Why didn't he just talk to me? But the truth was harder than that. Over the next few days, I started piecing things together. The late nights. The phone he guarded like a secret. The way he said I love you before I left, like a goodbye. Andrew hadn't left because I blocked him. He had been planning to leave for months, maybe years. My silence was just the excuse he needed to finally pull the trigger. And that realization hurt more than the abandonment, because it meant he had been lying to me every single day. Every dinner, every kiss, every I love you. It was all a performance while he waited for the right moment to escape. I spent 2 weeks in a fog. I didn't eat. I didn't sleep. I just walked around our empty house, touching walls, opening closets, looking for clues I had missed. Then I found the bank statement. It was buried in the back of a drawer in his old desk, the one piece of furniture he had left behind. I almost threw it away without looking, but something made me open it. Andrew had drained our joint savings account 3 days before my vacation. $10,000. Gone. He had also opened a separate credit card in his name only, with a billing address I didn't recognize. I called the bank. They couldn't tell me much, but they confirmed the address was in another state, 2,000 miles away. That's when the anger started to replace the grief. He hadn't just left me. He had planned it. Financially, logistically, emotionally. He had been building a new life behind my back while I was still trying to save our marriage. And then I remembered something else. A name. A woman from his work, Rebecca, who he had mentioned once or twice. Always casually. Always with a shrug. I found her on social media. And there it was. A photo of her and Andrew posted the day after I returned from my trip. They were standing in front of a house in that same state, her arm around his waist, his smile wide and real, a smile I hadn't seen in years. He hadn't vanished forever. He had just vanished from me. And that's when I decided I wasn't going to cry anymore. I wasn't going to beg or chase or wonder what I did wrong. I was going to make sure he regretted every single lie. I called a lawyer the next day. Her name was Margaret. Tough, blunt, and brilliant. She looked at the bank statements, the credit card, the social media photos, and she smiled. He made a lot of mistakes, she said. Leaving you wasn't one of them. But draining a joint account without your signature? That's illegal. Turns out, Andrew had broken the law. In my state, you can't empty a shared bank account without both spouses knowing, especially if you're planning to disappear. Margaret filed an emergency motion to freeze his new assets and recover what he stole. Within a month, a judge ordered Andrew to return half of the money, plus interest, plus legal fees. I didn't need to hunt him down. The court did it for me. He tried to call me once from a new number. I didn't answer. He sent me a long email full of excuses and apologies. He said he was confused. He said Rebecca was just a friend who became something more. He said he never meant to hurt me. I deleted the email without finishing it. Because here's what I learned. Some people don't deserve your anger. They don't even deserve your forgiveness. They just deserve your absence. 6 months later, the divorce was final. I kept the house. I kept the car. I kept my dignity. Andrew got Rebecca and a mountain of debt from the legal fees. I heard through mutual friends that they moved in together. And then, a year after that, I heard she left him for someone else. Funny how that works. A man who builds his happiness on lies rarely finds a happy ending. As for me, I spent 2 years alone. Not lonely, alone. I learned to cook meals for one. I painted the bedroom purple. His favorite color had been blue. I adopted a cat named Hemingway. I started running in the mornings. I reconnected with friends I had neglected. And slowly, the woman who had been abandoned on a kitchen counter became a woman who didn't need anyone to complete her. I don't regret blocking Andrew before that vacation. I regret not doing it sooner. Because his disappearance wasn't a punishment, it was a gift. He removed himself from my life so I could finally see how little he had added to it. Here's what I want you to take from my story. Sometimes we hold on to people who have already left. We feel their distance, their coldness, their silence, and we blame ourselves. We think if I try harder, love better, become smaller, quieter, easier, then they'll stay. But love doesn't work that way. Real love doesn't need to be chased. Real love doesn't vanish into thin air the moment you stop performing. If someone leaves because you blocked them for 4 days, they were already gone. And if you find yourself standing in an empty house, holding a goodbye letter, wondering what you did wrong, please hear me. You didn't break them. You didn't drive them away. They chose to leave long before you ever let go. The best revenge isn't screaming or plotting or hunting them down. It's healing. It's building a life so full, so beautiful, so completely yours that their absence feels like relief instead of loss. I blocked my husband. And he vanished forever. And in the end, that was the best thing he ever did for me.